Hey guys, Chef Ro here, and welcome to our next episode of I'm Not Saying You're Doing It Wrong, but today we're going to talk about slicing an onion. Now, we've already talked about dicing an onion before, and an easier way to do that to get the most consistent sizing, but slicing can also be a problem that some people face, and I'm going to talk about how to slice it for when you're going to cook it, as opposed to when you're going to eat it in a salad, and I'll show you in a second the difference between which way you would do that for each one. Okay, so in my video on how to dice an onion, I've already shown you how to get it into half. We've already taken off the ends, cut it in half, remove the skin, all of that. Now we're ready to just slice it. So here I have my onion, okay? Now when we're cooking, it's very important that everything is the same exact size. So if I were to cut it this way, these pieces in the center would be larger than these pieces on the ends. Now this is the way that you want it to cut it for a salad or something of that nature, because it will come apart easier, but that's actually the problem when you're trying to cook it. You don't want it to come apart. You want it to hold together nicely. So then you're like, okay, then let's cut it this way. Well, now these are going to be wide and these are going to be skinny. So that's also a problem. And I know you're thinking, okay, I've run out of ways. Well, you haven't. I'm going to show you. First things first, we need to get rid of the root. Again, if something doesn't look like you want to eat it, just don't eat it. So what we're going to do so that we don't lose all this onion is we're just going to take our knife and go at a 45-degree angle right above that root, and then we've taken out just the root and no more of the onion. Okay, now we're going to do something called a sunburst or a radial cut here. Basically, if you see these little lines on the onion, they are going to give you a cheating guide. Okay, so you're going to follow the curve. Now, the biggest mistake people make is that they keep their knife at this angle for too long, and then they'll end up with a teeter-totter at the end. So you need to start moving your knife up almost immediately. And what you're going to do at the very beginning, pull it all the way back so that, because we're holding our knife properly, our hand will get in the way if we don't do that. So you're going to pull it all the way back, and you're just going to start slicing. Okay, notice how my knife has already started curving up. Okay, now once I get to about there, unless you like onions on the floor, I move the onion back up here. Okay, and again, notice that I have gotten my knife straight up and down already at this point. Okay, and I'm using this slicing motion with a sharp knife, that way I'm not crying. Okay, now this is going to be uncomfortable. So, very simple way of doing that, turn it right around. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing from this side. Again, pull it back. Okay, and then notice my knife is already all the way up. Okay, now here is where it gets tricky. What do you do with this last little piece? It's very skinny. It's hard to use that claw grip. So now we use something called the bridge. You put your fingers on either side of it, slide right through, okay? And the onion will protect your fingers. So now you notice these are all the same size, same thickness, and these will cook much easier. So sliced onions, we're going to want to use those anytime we cook an onion. Stir fry, caramelized onions, things like that. For pizzas even, if you want to saute them up a little first before you put them on the pizza so they're not quite as raw. This is how you're going to want to slice it anytime you're cooking the onion, okay? Because I'm not saying you've been doing it wrong, but